All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to wait a few minutes, let everybody sign on, and then we'll get started probably about 10 after 6. All right, just another reminder that we'll be starting in a few minutes here at about 6:10. Please hold tight. We'll be starting the workshop here in a few minutes. Thank you. Okay, the Montebello Parks Master Plan Community Workshop number 1 will be starting in a few seconds here. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to our first of a series of community workshops. This is a really important day for us today. My name is David Sosnowski. I'm with the City of Montebello Department of Rec and Community Services. We got our camera up top on our screen, so I apologize if we're looking up. But like I said, this is a really important day. This is a kickoff for the community involvement portion of the Parks Facilities Master Plan. As you see, today is our first workshop. We like to hold these things typically in public with the groups in the room, but you have 3 of us here in the room today, just because the COVID and the social distancing requirements. So this is Lori Aguilar. She is our management analyst for the Recreation Community Services Department. She's doing an excellent job moving this project along. And then Jacob Castillo is one of our park program coordinators, is also helping move this project along from the park side of it. So real briefly, for folks that don't know, Park Master Plan typically guides the city in how it develops, designs, repairs, and modifies our parks going forward in the future. So if you guys know, there are 12 park areas or locations plus the golf course in the city of Montebello. 2 of them are small pocket parks. Some of you might know about Northridge Mini Park on the north side of town and Bicknell Park off of Garfield. We have 10 main parks, and the purpose of this entire plan, regardless of what we come up with the community input, was also to look at our inventory of facilities, our condition of our parks and facilities, and have a guide with maintenance guidelines and ideas on how we could do a better job of serving our community by having better or modified facilities. Part of this process, we will be identifying some parks of the 10 where we'll do a site-specific plan, which will be based off the input of the community here. And we'll take those parks and get some more design-ready stuff, so that way in the future, when funding becomes available, we can put the community's vision to work and get some new parks that the city of Montebello deserves and the residents of Montebello deserve. So the last time this was done, just for everyone to know, was 1992, and it was a good document, but it was a little bit less thorough than what we're doing now. Like I mentioned, we're also looking specifically at facilities. And there's also a portion for those that want to know that we're looking at the non-park facilities as well, because we also help maintain some of our other facilities and infrastructure in the city. So once again, my name is David Sosnowski. I'm with the Parks Recreation Community Services Department. We're excited to get this going. We wish we could be here with all the public in the same room like we had planned when we started this. But the folks at KTUA are going to take over this public introduction to the community workshop today. And the public's input will drive what we do and how we do it and how we get to the final document in a few months from now to present to you, the public, to City Council, and let everyone know what our parks are looking like, what the community wanted to see in the future, look at some potential other development sites and other ideas that we could take to the public for potential new development of new park space. So all in all, it's a great exercise. It's a lot of work on our end, but again, we do this for the love of the community that we have here, and we look forward to working with you guys and taking your input and getting this document going. So thank you everybody for joining, and everybody that's watching it on the replays on the website. We thank you as well, and please make sure to get ready for the next upcoming presentation. So at that, I'll give it over to Matt from KTUA, and he'll kind of talk about what we're doing in the introduction today. Thank you, Matt.
Great, thank you, David. And thank you everybody for joining us this evening. As David mentioned, we typically like to do these in person, but of course we're adapting to this new normal, and we want to still show you the very exciting work that we're doing this evening. So just to give a little bit of a background, we are the consultants that are taking on the work for this project. Along with us are the sub-consultants that are helping us move this project along. And that is Green Clay, RRC, and Bureau Veritas. This evening, we'll be talking a little bit about just the general portions of the project, kind of giving you a little bit more in-depth of what David just mentioned, kind of what we're doing, and the purposes of a park master plan, and then showing a few examples of maps and some other web tools that we've developed. And then we'll finish with some questions and general discussion. We do notice that there's a few folks joining us this evening. This will be recorded, so we'll have the ability to share it that way. But at the end, if you'd like to speak, we'll open it up there. However, if there's some questions that you have right now, feel free to chat within the chat box of the interface here, and then we can moderate those and get to those questions. So just general project introduction. So the purpose of this plan is to create a report for Montebello's parks and recreation facilities that will really address the capital improvements, ADA accessibility, park and general city facility conditions, priorities and funding strategies, maintenance standards, and recommendations for park facilities, which really includes, as David mentioned, 3 specific park plans where we'll really get into a little bit more design and start to address some of those site-specific issues there. The duration of this project is 1 year. It started in March of this year and will be slated to end in January of 2021. Just to elaborate a little bit more on that schedule, as you can see here, this is kind of a little bit of a Gantt chart showing where we're at in the entire project schedule. So the arrow on the bottom of that chart shows exactly where we're at today, which is the first workshop. We've already done quite a bit of research and analysis of the existing conditions, which I'll share with you this evening. And then we're obviously going through some community outreach and then the community needs assessment. And then that will get us teed up for some of the recommendations and analysis, as well as our funding, operations, and maintenance, and then the eventual final master plan. One thing to note, the community needs assessment does have a series of surveys that will be mailed out. So you may get those, and then what I'll show this evening is a fun story map that we've developed, and it really will allow you to get engaged with this project. We're very excited to show that to you. So we want to highlight some of the project goals that we identified, which we really think are kind of the charter of what we're doing, with this Parks Facilities Master Plan. And these are kind of all encompassing. But really, it's to connect the trails and open space throughout the city. We really want to include additional open space or just space within the city and maximize the use of the existing parks. So look for areas of opportunities within the current park fabric that you have. And then look to improve and create kind of an equitable distribution throughout the new facility development. And we'll explain that a little bit. But eventually we want to hear from you, and that's why we're here this evening. We really want to hear a bit more, and we're looking forward to some questions and answers, as well as really engaging throughout this entire process. So a little bit more on what a Park Facilities Master Plan is. It is a document that provides a guide for the orderly development of future park, recreation, and open space facilities and programs that are required to meet the current and future needs of the community. So it's really meant to be kind of anchored in today, but really looking into the future. What will the Park Facilities Master Plan include? It will include various items, an existing park and facilities inventory. So we're going through and looking at all the current parks and really taking a very comprehensive inventory of what's out there. And then we're documenting all those existing conditions, which will be a part of this report. And then we're going to look at future plans, funding sources, and then a comprehensive financial plan. Some key definitions that we want to touch on this evening. and you'll hear kind of throughout the presentation, first is population-based standards. And what those are, it's really an equitable distribution of park and recreational facilities and the ability to serve the various neighborhoods and all social economic segments of the city's population. So it's really meant to, population-based standards are looking at that distribution of the entire population. Park Shed is a study that's done taking parks really are a park, and analyzing the households that it serves. That's typically done through GIS, which we'll show you some maps tonight. And they're studied in time increments. So you'll see 5-minute, 10-minute type of increments. And it's really to generate an estimate of the number of nearby potential park users. So seeing who can access a park within a 5-minute walk or whatnot. And that's a way that we gauge the quality or the amount of service that the current park system serves the community.
Hey, Matt.
Yes?
Hey, Matt, sorry to interrupt. There may be, may need to refresh your screen. We're seeing a little bit of lag on our end. There's something covering your presentation. Can you double check that?
Okay.
Yeah, it might be just a little bit of internet lag.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Kimberly, for pointing that out. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and bear with us. I know we're all adjusting to the new norm and all the technology that comes with it. It's very humbling to see even some of the news anchors and mainstream news outlets kind of get this. So bear with us, but please let us know if there's any issues. So then the distribution of park services is really a geographic distribution analysis, and it's correlating the distribution of parks and population and the different access ranges for various park types. And then to touch on the 5- and 10-minute walk or bike time again, those are really to indicate the park facilities that can be reached again by a 5- or 10-minute walk or bike time. So we want to touch a little bit on the previous studies that were done. There was a countywide study done in 2016. That was done again for the entire LA County. And in that study, they identified some of the things that we'll really get into much further analysis on. And as you can see on the left-hand side of this page, it's really talking kind of countywide of the park distribution and the current services, but then looking down at each city. And so it really gives us a good benchmark for other cities. It also gives us a good starting point. But as you'll see this evening, we've studied that a little bit more, and we're going to produce a more thorough study for the master plan. So I want to go through just some of the parks here. I know David touched on those, but to show them in kind of a mapped fashion here. One thing to point out, there's various park categories that you will see, and that's really identified by some of the even nationwide park organizations that help to kind of classify what these parks are. So on the top here, you'll see there's mini parks and neighborhood parks, and usually those are below 10 acres. And then there's community parks and centers, which are typically above 10 acres. And sometimes the amenities that are within those parks will help to define those as well. And then there's special use and regional facilities, which are kind of in their own category, may not have a size per se, but there are some special elements to it that kind of push it into that category there. So looking at the city's current park network, the first park here, Acuna Park, is about 7 acres, so it kind of get into that neighborhood park range, and it's located on the north end of the city, more or less. Ashia Park is about the same size as Acuna Park in some ways, about 8 acres, and that would also be classified as a neighborhood park. And then Bicknell Park, located really within the Montebello golf course, but it's a nice park in there, and it's about 7.5 acres. So again, the neighborhood park. Chet Holyfield Park, which is about 6.5 acres, and it's on the southern end of the city. And then Dutcher Tot Lot, which is a small park, a tot lot, as is implied by the name, which is 0.04 acres. And then Grant Ray Park, which is one of the city's largest parks. It has a lot of active sports fields and other facilities there. So that would really be classified as a community park in that sense. And it's about 25 acres. And then there's the Montebello City Park, which is also a community park, and it's close to 13 acres. And then the Northridge Mini Park, another smaller park at about 0.2 acres. Potrero Heights Park, which is on the north end of the city, very north end there, in buffering, I believe, the county land. And that is just under 7 acres and would be classified again as a neighborhood park. Reggie Rodriguez Park, which is about 7.5 acres, again, a neighborhood park, and kind of in the center of the city there, on the eastern edge of it. And then Taylor Ranch Park, which is about 2.3 acres, and we know that that's currently under construction, maybe wrapping up here soon, and it is a neighborhood park as well. A couple other things to note, there are a couple other parks or areas that we would classify and we're also studying as part of this master plan. And so that is the Sanchez Adobe Park, the Montebello Golf Course, and then there's also the Community and Senior Center, which is within one of the parks here, Potrero Park, within the city network. So we want to describe a little bit, again, about what a park shed is and how it's further described. And so when we're looking at these walk times and bike times, it really starts to break into how far can you reach within a 5-minute walk. And there's a given speed that we average, and then we assign that to, again, a GIS type of database, and it gives us a distribution of how much area or how much of the neighborhood is a certain park servicing. So here on the top, you'll see within a 5-minute walk, you can usually reach about a 1/4 mile. Within a 10 to 12-minute walk, you can get about a 1/2 mile. And then to really get to the 1 mile mark, we're looking at about a 6 to 8 minute bike ride. It may get kind of out of that walk time that I think most people would be uncomfortable with there. And then it's about a 2-minute drive. So that kind of gets into that mode of transportation where you may be getting into a car and going to a baseball game or soccer game, etc. And those, again, are community or regional parks. To show it kind of in a graphic here, here's 2 different type of maps kind of side by side. And the reason why we want to kind of compare and contrast these two is one of the traditional methods of park sheds that you would see is this kind of radial study. And it was done traditionally by hand or overlays onto a map. And one of the issues with that is that it doesn't really take into account some of the street network and other obstructions that you may see when you're walking through or trying to get to a park. So on the right-hand side, which is more realistic and what we're using for our studies is really a street network analysis where we take into account all of the streets and paths that get you to the park. And you can see there it's a bit more fragmented in terms of the layout, but that's meant to capture, again, where you can get through, you know, in your street network and sidewalks, etc. So that's where the paths and the connections to these parks really make a big difference, because then it allows you to connect to the parks within the city there. Another thing to note within the different colors here are those park shed times. So the yellow is a 1/4 mile park shed, and then the kind of lighter blue turquoise is a half-mile park shed, and then in the dark is a 1 mile park shed. So you can see once you look at a walk time, there are some areas there that may be slightly underserved, from a typical half-mile walk or a quarter-mile walk. So one of the very exciting things that we want to show you is our story map that we've developed. I will get out of the presentation and actually go to the story map online and kind of show you what this looks like. So the story map has a fun interface here. You can see it has a good cover image, and then it starts to describe or give an overview of the project. And I would encourage you each to go there and take a look at it, and it expands on kind of what we're talking about this evening, but you can read through that. And then there's some images and different type of links that will continue to populate within this through the duration of the project. So please continue to check in on it. You'll see here we're announcing our first workshop this evening within it. And then we give a little bit about, some of the community presentations and just, describing the ins and outs of the project here. But one of the exciting things is that we have this interactive mapping tool, which really will allow the city to engage within this, especially in this unique time, where we're all slightly disconnected. So, we would encourage everybody to participate and really get in and play around with this. So I'm going to actually show an example of how you can place a comment and then also look at your address. Since I don't want to show anybody's address, I'm using the city hall here, and you can actually type in your address, go to where you're at, and then look at the parks that are around your neighborhood. So let's say that I, for instance, live there at the city hall, and the closest park to me would be Acuna Park. So you can see there, it gives you kind of this interactive map that you can really start to engage with and zoom in and out and see certain things. But one of the fun things is really the comment feature that allows you to place different type of icons and then leave a comment. So I'll show you how to do that. First, what you'll do is you'll click on the left-hand side here, one of these buttons or icons. In this case, I'll say access, and then on the map here, you'll go ahead and click, and it'll tell you, it'll prompt you, to click to add your point. And so then I can add that, and then I can also add a note in there. So I'll say, hard to get across or something like that. That may not be exactly what is the issue there, but I'm just using that as an example. So we would encourage everybody to go in and participate in that manner. You may have some feedback that is really essential for us and that we can address within this report. And the other fun thing about this is that all of these get recorded, and you can actually see the other comments and other points that folks have left on there. And so, here I can go in and I'll see, oh, wow, someone said that was an issue. I can also elaborate on that, or maybe I've faced the same thing. And we would also encourage you to point out things that you like, things that are exciting, because that will also let us know, okay, that works well. That is something that we can build upon or maybe introduce at another park. So I'll jump back over to the presentation here. Again, we're very excited about that, and we would encourage everybody to take a look at that when they have some time there. We do have a link here that you can go to, and on that previous slide you saw there was a QR code that you could scan. But we do want to touch on just various ways that you can participate and stay connected throughout this process. Next, we have public workshop again that's anticipated early August. We're still working out the date on that. And then we'll have a third workshop, likely end of August or early September. And then there will be additional events that may pop up from time to time. So please check the city website as well as the story map. And then leave us your email this evening, or whenever you're watching this. We'll really like to stay engaged there too, and we can add you to the email list and stay connected. And then look out for the survey again in the mail. This will also be within that story map. So we'll be launching that within that interface that I just showed you, and you can participate there. And again, visit the story map, and the link is on this this page here. So you can type that into your browser and get right to it there. Or if you leave us your email, we'll be happy to send you that. So again, I just want to recap on the schedule. Again, we are here at the first workshop. We'll be going through a bit more community outreach and engagement. There are a handful of stakeholder meetings that we're holding to talk to specific sports groups and really to understand everything there, and then have a better idea of you know, what's working, what's not working. One thing I want to indicate is that the survey that's going out in the mail is a random survey. It's a random sample survey, so not everybody will receive that. So if you didn't receive it or don't receive it, don't be alarmed. That's why we are also providing it on the story map so that you can participate that way. And the reason for that is really it's a statistically valid survey. So there's a random sampling. That's what RRC on our team is handing out. They'll be sending those to addresses. So again, don't be alarmed when you get it, and don't be alarmed if you don't get it. But please provide feedback. We will really take that, and it will allow us to better shape the park network within the city. So with that, we want to open it up to some Q&A. There's some questions that we have already kind of put together, but we also want to open it up to any discussion that you may have, or questions that you may have as well. So the first one here is really, what park or parks would you like to see further explored for major improvements? And again, we're taking 3 parks forward and doing a bit more design to them. So if there is a park that you'd like to see kind of moved along a little bit more, you know, feel free to let us know right now. If there's no responses, we can move on to the next question and kind of keep it going, but I'll leave this up on the screen here for a few seconds.
Thank you, Matt. I do have 4 questions that I can also read aloud to you when you're ready.
Okay, yeah, let's get started.
Okay, great. Thank you, Matt. First question, thank you, Kimberly and Catherine, for being active and typing in questions. We really appreciate it. Matt and City, first question is, will you be sharing this to social media platforms?
I think I'll defer to the city on that. Maybe David or Lori, you can expand on that a little bit, or Jacob.
Hey guys, David here. So there we are. Yes, so depending on the file size, it could either be directly uploaded to Facebook, or we could do it through our file share through the city. So I don't know how the quality size of this thing is going to be after we're done, but we will definitely make sure it's available for everybody to like it, share it, comment it, and help us get more folks out the next one. So great question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, great question.
Great. Related to that, the next question was if there will be an opportunity for Facebook Live and the opportunity to take questions in that fashion. I had a reply that that's something that we weren't doing for this workshop, but that it may be something to explore in the future. So again, I can defer back to the city if that's an option that we can talk about for upcoming workshops.
David, again, yes, we could explore that. We like the GoToMeeting format for the security and the way we are able to control it in this fashion for the intro meeting. So it was appropriate for today's meeting as an introduction, where it's not saying that it's not interactive, but it's not like a as we go Q&A type of thing. So we'll definitely look for our next, maybe the third, we'll look at different formats, but we did like the security of having KTUA host this on this format. So for today, but yes, we will look at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question. Were you able to make a full and comprehensive analysis with COVID restrictions? I believe this was in response to potentially field work. And then I guess it could also be interpreted for outreach as well. So, Matt?
Yeah, I can touch on that. Fortunately, our team was able to get out there and survey the parks and do all the inventory work that was needed. It was actually a good time. They were able to go and very effectively and efficiently look at each park, and they did it safely. There was the proper face coverings and things that are recommended there. So yes, that has taken place. And then as far as the workshops, I mean, it did introduce a little bit of a detour, if you will, in the way that we initially kind of looked at this project and in the way that we initially would interact with the public. That being said, this is still a way to do it. So thank you again for being flexible and allowing us to still share this work. But to answer that briefly, no, it has not. It did delay it slightly, but we will continue with all the outreach there. Now, I don't know if David or the city there would like to add to that.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. We too would also echo that. Not that we're disappointed, but yeah, I'd say we are a little disappointed that we weren't able to meet in public, like I mentioned earlier. As Matt knows, I think they were ready to do this probably a month ago, and we kind of just kept pushing it for the hopes that we could gather and do it in the public, just because maybe some folks feel more comfortable that way or whatever the reason. So yeah, I think we're going to still get our bang for the buck for the city and the residents. Because we'd also like folks to comment, even if it's after the fact, and just send in their comments. Now, these are the official meetings, right? So this is where a lot of the content will be driven from. Again, today's just an intro, so we'll expect 100 folks out there. So we count on you guys that are watching to spread the word. But I did want to answer in terms of the site work that was done so far. These folks at KTUA have a great architectural and engineering firm that I think Matt talked about earlier, Bureau Veritas. And mainly for facilities, but I can tell you this, the amount of content and data that they have derived from our current conditions, and I'm talking about how many trash cans and what condition that trash can is, and the bench, and the wood rot on one of the restroom facilities at a park, and what the 10-year cost for replacement and 15-year and 20-year cost, and what a whole facility or park looks like for cost is pretty impressive, and it's accurate data because I know what those things are and what those conditions are, and can verify that. So, and those were done over a series of days with staff walking them through, and again, like Matt said, with the proper protocols and procedures for COVID. But yeah, I think the site work, in many ways, maybe they could even be more thorough because there's less people in the parks right now. So maybe that's a silver lining, at least for the site work part of it, and able to spend more time looking deep dive into our facilities because it wasn't like a senior program going on where they had to squeeze around, and they were able to really spend a good amount of hours at the facility. So I appreciate the work that was done there. So, but that's a good question. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next question, how many surveys were being mailed out for that statistically valid survey?
Good question. So we are mailing out, I believe, 3,500 surveys. So again, there's a number that allows it to be statistically valid. I believe that's 2,500, but we're upping it a little bit to account for any folks that may not be able to respond, or just kind of looking at allowing for a little bit more feedback there. So we will have that sent out here soon, and we're looking forward to the feedback that we receive there.
Great. And yes, we'd like to remind everybody in the audience that they can use the chat window. That is the option and the ability for you to provide comments and questions. We do have some comments from the community based on this question that you posted, Matt.
Okay.
In regards to Hollyfield Park, restrooms and lawn, so potholes and stadium seating. And then regarding Potrero Heights, stadium seating and softball, baseball field.
Okay.
And all of this we'll be able to, this is all recorded. We have all these notes, so we'll be able to also collect this information as part of the presentation.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and
Mhm.
thank you for that feedback. We'll definitely take a look at those items.
Matt, do you mind if I chime in?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Uh, Again, thank you for the feedback and identifying the parks. Now, Potrero Heights, just for folks that know, the entire, or want to know, the entire property is a school district, and portions are, City of Montebello, north of the baseball field where the chain link fence starts is LA County unincorporated, San Gabriel. So there's a few hoops to jump through there. There's a county facility, there's a city Parks and Rec facility, and there's the school district, right? So that doesn't mean we wouldn't look at that site. We just know that for folks to know why some things are what they are, there's a few hoops to jump through with that facility, but it is a school district property where the city has a agreement to use for park space on the south side, and then so does the county for the senior center there as well. So just FYI for the community.
Mhm. Great, thank you. All right. Was there any other there, Jacob, before we move to the next question here?
No, nothing so far, so you're more than welcome to move on to the next question.
All right, great. All right, so the next one here, are there areas within the city that you believe are currently underserved by park and recreational facilities? And again, that's going to kind of the park shed maps that we showed, but maybe there's some other experiences there that you have that may help with this.
A comment did come in, so I'll go ahead and read it out loud to you, Matt, and for everybody else in the audience. The comment was, we all have wants off parks, like a dog park, better lighting, but my concern is not to only have a path to the equipment, but we have a park equipment for those with physical limitations and special need children. So thank you, Kimberly.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for that. I will say that is something that we're sensitive to as well. So we'll definitely be looking at that. Okay. I think I'll move on to the next, and feel free to still place your answer or questions there. We will kind of come back to those, but I'll continue to go through some of these questions that we have. So during the shutdowns caused by COVID-19, have you used any of the parks for walking or jogging? We know that it has been a stressful time for some, and really getting outside and being able to walk and jog has been very therapeutic. So we'd like to hear that. I think it's kind of giving us a better perspective of how we're designing parks as well. And we've always been advocates, especially at K2A, for active transportation. But I think in this dire time, that's even more so the case. So please let us know that if there is a specific need there for walking and jogging, and maybe some favorite trails or parks that you like to visit there.
Yeah.
Matt, there's no comments. We could tell you can look out the window here and visit parks throughout the city, and you'll see it's probably increased during COVID-19 because of lack of other activities or physical spaces to go. People are taking advantage of the ability to walk and jog through parks. So I'm not supposed to answer, sorry, but that's an obvious assessment. I can look out the window right now.
Yeah, no, thank you for adding to that, and I will echo the same. For me, I try to get out and walk, or go on a quick jog, or go to the park. It is therapeutic there. So within the current restrictions and protocols that are out there, I think we would certainly encourage that.
Mm-hmm. Matt, I have some new comments for everybody to hear. So it was regarding Ashia Park, that there's an opportunity for it to serve the students in the immediate area. It was noted that for example, after school, when after school is out, PRCS can offer after school help and snacks. And then in addition to this COVID question, it says that, yeah, people are always at the park, probably now more than ever.
Well, thanks for that feedback. Another thought there is, are there other parks really within the surrounding cities that folks are going to or walking or jogging to. Again, we do want to know that, and there are a few parks we know that are kind of close to the city there. So if you want to respond with that may help. We are doing again some benchmarking, which again allows us to kind of look at other cities and really kind of take the Montebello platform hopefully further than some of the cities here and advance the park program. Okay, with that, I will ask this next question. How satisfied are you with the current or with the variety and quality of recreational programs and events offered? Again, we'll leave that up for a little bit and then I'll go to the next one here.
A comment, Matt?
All right.
In comparison to one of our closest cities, Pico Rivera, more on the dissatisfied side. I have seen their catalog with programs that are offered and it's a few pages.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. I think we would echo that. The city of Montebello is doing a great job with all the programming and the different events that they offer, but we're looking to build on that. So thank you for that feedback.
And it is noted that the commenter said that we have a good sports program.
Matt, if I could chime in, and I want the folks here to feel free to say that, because that's what we're having this for, and take that information back into the report and see how we can better serve our community. So thank you to the commenter that made that comment. We appreciate it.
Agreed. Thank you. All right. So this is our last question, but how satisfied are you with the daily upkeep of the parks, facilities, restrooms, safety, etc.? And how responsive has the city been in addressing vandalism, graffiti, etc.? And this is not to put a spotlight on anyone, but mainly to see again where we can increase that. I know that the city is working very hard, so we commend them. We've heard really good things from the community thus far, but if there is anything there, please let us know.
A comment that thank you for doing this first of many workshops, and thank you to city staff for staying late. This is difficult for city during COVID, but you guys are giving us access.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that as well. And I would again thank the city for having this opportunity and allowing us to share this exciting work as well. We're very passionate about it. We're looking really to enhance the sports fields and all the parks within the city, and it's been great working with the city and the community thus far. So please stay connected. I think with that we'll probably wrap up. If there's any other questions or comments, feel free to submit those. Again, I would encourage everybody to please stay connected through the various things that I've shown previously. Let me go back to that slide actually. So again, look out for those 2 workshops, and then with the story map, please visit that and stay connected. So with that, I don't know if there's any closing comments that the city has, but I think we are pretty much there. And thank you again for the community for joining us this evening and attending tonight's workshop.
Would you like me to read the last comment that just came through, Matt?
Sure, yes.
Great. It was in response to a question on upkeep. The comment was, I am concerned with the homeless activity at Montebello Park so much that I avoid the park. So thank you for that comment.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Hey, Matt, can I closing statement, and again, thank you for all the positive and maybe not positive comments. We do have a good program going, MCAP here with the fire department and getting people experiencing homelessness, getting them resources and housing. So I think those situations will be addressed, and we appreciate the commenter leaving that. Just a little last statement, unless there's any other questions. Again, just to kind of tie up what we're doing here and updating this park master plan after 28 years. The old plan, and things have changed since then, and priorities have changed, the demographics has changed, and our different customers have changed, and we really want people to leave their comments and let us know where they want us to focus our attention on the big picture items. So if funding does become available, there's some good opportunities in December through Prop 68, the statewide parks program. We're going to be submitting some applications. Lori and I are already getting started on that. But really, besides the fact that even on those funding opportunities, this public input is required, but it's also necessary too. Because I could tell you this: a lot of the words that are being shared, we know that internally, and our goal is always to provide the best programs and services to the community. And it starts with our condition of our facilities and our parks and all those concerns, whether it's or suggestions, whether it's for a better facility for sports activities or if it's just because people want to see things improve. That's what we're here for. That's what this department's always been here for. The city's turning 100 years old in 3 months, and we want to keep these parks going for another 100 years after that. So this is a huge undertaking by Matt and the folks at KTUA, and we're proud to work with them on this, and we're proud to give the community a good document at the end of the day that we could hold our hat on, but also hold the city and its employees accountable, because this is the community's input, and we're going to look at best maintenance practices. We're going to look at how to better maintain our facility, because facilities maintenance is part of this department at this time. And we want to take those best industry practices and look at what needs to be done, and then look at funding opportunities even for those as well. So parks is the driving force behind this exercise, but that's why we included the rest of our facilities in the study as well. So just want to thank everyone that's watching it now. Thanks to Matt and the folks at KTUA for helping us out with this large undertaking, because it's more than just the parks plan, like I mentioned. And we look forward to meeting with the community when we can in person again and discussing these things. But everyone out there knows that, our staff here are always available. You can call the Parks and Rec office anytime, 323-887-4540. Let us know what you see out there. Let us know what your feedback on this is if you don't want to leave it here, and help us spread the word. Get your friends and family members to participate. So that's what we're looking for on this note. And appreciate again one more time for the folks being flexible with the digital appearance here. We like to do it in person, like I mentioned a few times. But once again, thanks. So Lori's doing a good job on this project, and Jake, you guys know I'm out there at the parks for a lot of our activities going on. So thanks everyone for their time on this. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Great. Everybody, we hope you have a good night, and please help get the word out. Engage your friends, your family, and help spread the word. Thank you.
Yes, agreed. Thank you.